Hi guys, Keith Arkenberg Farms. It is first week of April and it's finally starting to warm up around here. Things are finally starting to grow a little bit. So I get to finally work my way out of the greenhouses here and come over and start planting in the field. And out of all the videos I've ever done, I've showed how to do everything out here. I don't think I've ever made one specifically talking about the landscape fabric, and especially this cool stuff I found this year. So let me show you. So a lot of the crops we plant into DeWitt 3.2 ounce landscape fabric. This is 4 foot wide from end to end because our beds are in 4 foot center, which allows us to have no space in between and no weeding when we go and actually block out a whole field with these. Pretty simple. You burn the holes with templates, you line it down, landscape staples through, which I'll show you here in a second, and work from there. Show you a couple more little blocks real quick. So here's head lettuce. Primarily, we only do stuff in landscape fabric that's going to be here roughly 60 days because it really helps keeping the weeds down, like all of our radishes and spring mix quick brassicas, arugula, things like that are out in bare soil. Same thing, direct seed lettuce. And here's our leaf lettuce mix here. It is in it all the way down. Really helps to keep the product clean. Here's all of our overwinter lettuce. Same exact thing. Fabric from end to end, and there are no gaps, and if there are, just very little in between each to keep any winter weeds down and what come through when it starts warming up. We also use it on the edge of our cat tunnels. This one's actually going to be permanent mounted on poles, but I rolled the fabric out first and then I burned holes through it with the pole, so very little grass will come up around each of these poles. And it also helps with preventing soil erosion when the water washes down off the side of this tunnel and onto the ground here. It gives it somewhere to go and it won't take the soil with it. But we just burn them through. I actually took a piece of this, heated it up, and just jabbed it where I needed it, and then drove the pole straight through. Here's an example of a full block. This is actually all kale last year until here, which was dill, and then this was basil. But these are actually on, let's see, I've got 30-inch beds and 14-inch pathways instead of 18. Yeah, that was to make it a little bit easier to fit in here and have a little bit more room on the edge. But the good thing is that allows the fabric to overlap by about that much as you go along. And that lets you get a little bit more of a raised bed covering with fabric, because if you're on 4 foot center exactly and you have any type of raised bed at all, you'll end up with like this inch strip in between each of these, which lets weed through, which is very bad because that completely defeats the purpose of putting all this stuff down if you still got to weed it. Now, there are also times that we do not use it, specifically because something else is going to go in here. This is actually going to be the tomato tunnel, and I've got kohlrabi and beets. There they are, beets and kohlrabis, and they alternate running all the way down this bed. I'm going to have to plant tomatoes in here. I'll either do a single line down the center or double row for trellising, single line up, lean and lower method. But if I put fabric in here, it's going to be in my way because I'm going to have to interplant in here, and I know this. That's why I specifically did not put fabric down here. I believe I have the weed pressure under control in here. I know there's a bunch of hairy stuff along the edge, which I'm not concerned with at all. But in the center of this bed, it shouldn't be a problem. I'll just have to make sure and cultivate a little bit more than I would regularly. But that's one instance when we don't use it. Then I have to show everybody my pile of landscape fabric. This is where we store it all. We actually bring it end to end and then fold it back on itself to make it easier to put out when we're done. Fold it over once right here. So there's one sheet. That way we've got piles of everything we need. We can take these directly out the field and use them. Behind me as well are all of my templates. We actually take these and we burn them on the plant spacing. So like this is a 5 row, so we're 6 inches in row, and then we're 5 inches in between row, like that, not diagonally with it. Over here, here's another setup, which is that looks like my leaf lettuce setup. So we're 8 inches between row, and then we're 6 inches within row. I've got a head lettuce setup as well, which is 8 inches in between row, 10 inches within row. And from those, I can do any other combination I want on the farm. Like you see, I have specific circles painted around. That would be, let's see, 6, 12, 18 inches. And the next one's over here on the far side, which you can't see, which puts 24 inches between row. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, no, 18. That's 10. So yeah, that's about right. And then the 15, no, 18 within row. Gets confusing, there's a lot of numbers out here. But I'll take you over to show you what I'm actually working on now, is what I'm gonna plant kale into. Okay, so it was a little bit of brain fart over there. 8 inches in between rows, there's 3 of them, so it is 24 inches from side to side. I found out that that is just a little bit too wide, because what it does is it condenses your walk path and basically makes walk paths everywhere, which makes people harvesting want to walk down the center instead of on the sides of the beds. So this is the new stuff I found this year, which I'll turn this way because it is just bright upon bright. So basically, same thing, it's DeWitt 3.2 ounce landscape fabric. Comes on a roll just like the other stuff, but it's black on one side and then it's white on the other. I'll turn you around and show you. So the stuff is kind of like cross woven, where you can kind of see where it goes up and over, and you can kind of open them up. So the white's on one side and the black's on the other side. So the black's actually cross woven in the other direction. If you open it up, you can kind of see the white on the other side. The only thing I'm seeing with this stuff is that it appears the supplier I'm buying it from, there's a nice factory edge right there. They're splitting it, because that is not a factory edge. That is something that was done. You can see how it kind of curves backwards and re-rolled onto rolls. You can also see where it's starting to fray. I'm really, really worried about that. I actually picked this stuff up from a company on eBay, which I get all my fabric from, called All Seasons Covered. They're the best price on your typical black DeWitt fabric. And they're the only ones I've found so far that are selling the 4-foot white on black. There's an experiment this year. I primarily have it. I'm going to try it on the kale. So we got kale, and that one's going to be basil and then dill. I can't remember what's going to be the bed next to it. But I want to use it for my summer lettuce production, because I really, really believe that having the white fabric cut down a lot of heat stress during transplant during the really hot time of the year. So put this stuff in. We just use 6-inch landscape staples with a 1-inch crown on them. Go and line it up, give it a little bit of overlap, and then get yourself a good hammer and hammer them in. I find it best to hammer them, because if you step them in, they don't go all the way down. From here, you just kick it out, go to your next section, make sure to give it a quick pull so it pulls nice and tight. Line up your overlap again, and then go and hammer down another staple. I like to do this about every 5 foot all the way down. I typically will do one side first all the way down, and then I'll come back over to the other side and do the other side. That way I can pull from where the staple is over there to get it nice and taut. I find if you don't, at least in my winds, it likes to buffer, and it'll actually pick up over the starts and they get sucked underneath it. To alleviate that, sometimes you have to put staples in the middle. I try not to, because that's just more work and more tear down when you're done with this area and have to break it back down. So once you have your stuff down, you want to get one of these. This is I can't remember, they call them a Ninja Flame Weeder a lot. It is about 3 foot long, holds a cylinder of gas on the end, so you can stand up and comfortably burn without bending over. This is where your template comes in handy. You burn down your template, you'll move it forward, line up the last holes on it, recenter it, and then you go about and start burning it. It's got a clicker on it, real nice and easy to start. You just burn your holes, just simple as that. So we'll go through, we'll grab our template, line up the center with the center, and then I line up, well, I'm just right off the template here, otherwise I'd line up the last hole, popper. Then I stand next to the holes I'm going to burn real quick. We turn this off. So I actually find that I don't want to completely burn out the hole, because these are 2.5 inches across. That leaves a lot of area for the weeds to come in. A 100 cell flat is only going to take up that much room with a plug. So as long as we stay inside of it, we're good to go. If I remade all these, I'd probably do them at 2 inches or 2 inches and a quarter, because I find that's a lot better hole. So yeah, I mean, that's the basics of it. You create your templates, you go and burn it, drag it along all the way down, you end up with something that looks like this, and you keep going all the way, and eventually, in about an hour's worth of time after laying it out and burning it, you'll have a full, well, my beds are 90 foot long. I have landscape fabric that's ready to plant in. Pretty simple once you want to plant in it, because I'm planting transplants. I'll just poke a hole, drop my plant right in it, get rid of the extra dirt, the rest will rain off. You can water straight through this stuff. The first time you water on it, it will look like it's really repelling it. After it sits out in the sun for a day or two, it moves around, and then the water will actually absorb through it. So just be aware of that, because people get really, I don't know, freaked out about it when they first use it. It's like, it's repelling all the water, but even if it does, it's rolling down, it's falling in the holes anyways. But it'll actually soak through. Real great for water retention. Like I said, I've never used the white stuff before. I'll be really excited to see what it looks like once things really start growing in it. I mean, just keep following me this season. I'm sure I'll be back out here again. So that is the basics of how we use the landscape fabric on the farm. I mean, if you have any questions, please comment down below. I always try to get to them as quick as possible. Also as well, if you're looking for any spreadsheets, anything that run your farm with, management spreadsheets, I've got stuff for calculating out fertilizer, a whole bunch of other stuff over there. It's on our farm webpage, arkenbergfarms.com. Scroll down to the bottom. There's digital tools and training down there. You can find all that fun stuff. Take a look at it. Hope you all enjoy it. So, hope you all enjoyed what you saw here today. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank y'all. Have a good day.